If a show doesn't have great villains, is it even worth watching? Well, Game of Thrones has its fair share of villains, to say the least, some of whom are, or were, so despicable that it's amazing what they did was actually shown on TV. But alas, their actions have haunted our memories ever since. The show's evolution is clear, as are the bad guys who star in it. From bloody betrayals to assassinations, Game of Thrones has given us a lot to talk about, and mourn over. And with the final season just a few weeks away, we decided to break down which characters have been the most evil throughout the series.
Terrible guess.
But with the final season destined to be a bloodbath, frankly, it's still anyone's game. But until then, I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and these are the top 11 most evil Game of Thrones characters.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Number 11, Euron Greyjoy. People tend to forget just how evil Euron is because he does everything with a smile, even if it is a menacing one. He's got one of the best senses of humor of any villain we've seen on the show. And he's no coward, nor willing to hide in the shadows as many other characters are. He enjoys being the spectacle.
Look at them, cheering for Greyjoy.
Really, he's kinda like the Bam Margera of Westeros.
A finger in the bum.
But Euron is the man who killed his own brother to rule and went to hunt down the two children who could prevent him from securing the Iron Islands.
Give your uncle a kiss.
He's cunning and a lot more intelligent than he lets on. But the most dangerous thing about him is how charming and charismatic he is. Number 10, Peter Baelish, or Littlefinger. This Shadow Master was very unassuming at first, but it didn't take long for us to learn the lengths that this frail little man was willing to go to just to make a name for himself.
Chaos is a ladder.
He was the architect behind schemes like pitting the Starks against the Lannisters, which ultimately led to Ned's death. He had a hand in Joffrey's death, murdered Lysa Arryn to take control of her kingdom, married Sansa off to Ramsay Bolton, and let's not forget the time he paid an assassin to kill Bran while he was still in a coma.
He's dead already.
Using the knowledge he acquired, he was able to position himself in the right place at the right time to be useful to those he would soon betray.
I did warn you not to trust me.
This man thrived on chaos, stroking the flames and disappearing when things got hot. He played the perfect puppeteer until the Stark kids cut his strings.
When you brought me back to Winterfell, you told me there's no justice in the world, not unless we make it.
Meryn Trant. Meryn f***ing Trant.
The greatest swordsman who ever lived, killed by Meryn Trant.
Joffrey really chose the best people to surround himself with, and the worst was definitely Meryn Trant. A bit surprising, considering Trant doesn't seem to get much respect from other fighters, specifically the Hound or Bronn.
Careful now. We don't want to get blood all over your pretty white cloak.
That being said, his brutality against Sansa, as well as his killing of Syrio Forel, made us hate Trant's smug face pretty much immediately. But his desire for young girls is what showed us the extent of his depravity and vileness. Luckily, Arya corrected the Meryn Trant problem pretty quickly in Season 5. Number 8, Tywin Lannister. If there was an award for the worst father ever, it might go to Tywin Lannister, who only ever really showed a modicum of affection for Jaime. The strategic force that was Tywin made use of every weapon he had at his disposal, which included his daughter, Cersei.
You will marry Loras Tyrell.
He cared far more about his family's name than protecting his children, one of whom he treated so poorly that it was a wonder he lived to be an adult.
To protect the family.
He ruled with an iron fist and with the Iron Bank under his thumb. If it weren't for Tyrion killing him, while he was on the toilet no less, the Starks and Daenerys would have had a lot more adversity than what Cersei is dishing out.
You're no son of mine.
But one thing is for certain, no matter how evil he was, Tywin knew how to play the game. Number 7, Roose Bolton. Now I know I said Tywin might be the worst father on the show, but I think Roose Bolton takes the title. Roose Bolton deserves a spot on this list for the mere fact that he shares Ramsay Bolton's DNA. But the truth is, he's guilty of so much more. This is one of the men who had a big hand in orchestrating one of the most unforgettable scenes in Game of Thrones history, the Red Wedding. Not only was he one of the masterminds, but this depraved individual let Catelyn Stark know what was about to happen to her and her family just before it did, all with a really cold stare. And, as everyone remembers, Roose was the one who stabbed Robb Stark, the King of the North, right in the chest. And this was after spending time with Robb to get to know the inner workings of his life.
The Lannisters send their regards.
And of course, let's not forget the very romantic story about he met his bastard son's mother.
A baby she claimed was mine. I nearly had her whipped, and the child thrown in the river.
As I said, another candidate for Westeros Father of the Year. His casual endorsement of really brutal torture also gets him some extra evil points. But could we really expect anything less from a man whose house is represented by a flayed man?
A naked man has few secrets. A flayed man, none.
Number 6. Walder Frey. Meet the Freys, a bunch of decrepit, vile, and power-hungry people. Or at least that's what their patriarch was.
For House Frey!
The rest of them are honestly just a bunch of morons that Jaime Lannister can slap around.
I don't give a rap.
After a deal to secure a marriage between his offspring and a Stark child went sideways, let's not forget that the terms were reneged. This man decided that the best way to get revenge was to murder the 3 eldest members of the Stark family, one of whom was pregnant. He broke guest right, a sacred oath made between a host, in this case Frey, and his guests, the Starks, where either party will cause no harm once they begin to eat. And all for what? His actions have condemned his family's name, not that it matters, as most of them were made into delicious meat pies, courtesy of Arya.
The last thing you're ever going to see is a Stark smiling down at you as you die.
Number 5. Gregor the Mountain Clegane. If you thought the Hound was a force to be reckoned with,
The king.
then you must be forgetting about his older brother, the Mountain. The disturbing and unforgettable speech he gave as he battled Oberyn Martell took quite a while to sink in. What didn't take so long for us to get was him crushing Oberyn's skull like it was a balloon, similar, we would think, to the way he crushed Oberyn Martell's skull. But what made this man especially vile was the fact that he should have died after fighting Oberyn. He was poisoned and underwent a procedure that changed him both in appearance and behavior. Time will tell what this man will do next, but with Cersei as his leader, it can't be good. Number 4. Craster. Okay, so you know how we said Tywin was the worst dad on Game of Thrones, and then we said Roose Bolton was the worst dad on Game of Thrones? We were wrong. Craster is the worst dad on Game of Thrones. Craster holds a special place on this list just because of how disgusting he is. This supposed friend of the Night's Watch allowed the men to stay at his keep if they brought him items in exchange for housing.
You're prettier than half my daughters.
But the things that he did at his home are so repulsive that even his death could not absolve him of what he did during his life.
A daughter king. Wildling bastard.
You see, Craster took his daughters as wives. He had them do all the manual labor around his residence, and when they were done cooking, cleaning, and fetching water, he took them to his bed. And to him, it didn't matter that he got them pregnant unless they gave birth to a male child, which he would quickly sacrifice to the Night Walkers as a bargaining chip to leave him alone. Number 3. Cersei Lannister. It seems like the apple didn't fall too far from the Lannister tree here because Cersei is a step above her heartless father. The current queen of the Seven Kingdoms has lied, slept, and manipulated her way to the top.
Power is power.
And with no children left to keep her even remotely human, we know that there is nothing standing in the way of Cersei doing whatever she needs to keep the throne. Some of her crimes include killing her husband after she cheated on him and had kids with her brother, and murdering most of the members of the Tyrell house, along with hundreds, if not thousands, of her nation's citizens.
If you ever call me sister again, I'll have you strangled in your sleep.
And now, this ice-cold queen is planning to betray the very people she pledged to help to stop the White Walkers' march on the kingdom. There's no telling what she'll do next, or who, if anyone, will stop her. Number 2. Joffrey Baratheon. Or, let's be real, double Lannister. Whoever came up with the evil breeds evil saying was onto something. The grandfather, the mother, and the son, each one more evil than the previous. It seems like someone in each Lannister generation is destined to outdo the person who came before them, and Joffrey certainly takes the cake. No pun intended.
Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
Joffrey's crimes included everything from torturing women, to bullying young girls, to humiliating his uncle, to abandoning his soldiers at war.
If you won't defend your own city, why should they?
There's so much that this petulant boy king did to repulse us that death really had to be the next step in his journey. And frankly, it was his sadistic personality mixed with the entitlement that makes him one of the most hateable characters on the show.
Tell me, which do you favor? Your fingers or your tongue?
There's no telling what Joffrey would have done next had he not choked on his wedding cake. Number 1. Ramsay Bolton. There's probably no character in the history of television that quite matches up to Ramsay Bolton, the bastard son of the Dreadfort. His physical and psychological torture of Theon is honestly one of the most brutal arcs in television history, showing us that he doesn't hurt people for any sort of real benefit, but because he actually enjoys it. Ramsay is a sadist in the truest sense of the word. After torturing and breaking Theon for so long, who he also turned into a eunuch, he took Sansa's innocence, killed his newborn brother, and flayed the skin of anyone who dared say otherwise.
It means a great deal to me.
From surrendered soldiers to innocent old ladies, Ramsay had no problem peeling the skin off of anyone who crossed him. Ramsay was the epitome of evil as he killed his way into Winterfell's walls, and there was nothing subtle about the way he did it either. He never felt an ounce of remorse or even stopped to think before he committed any of his vile acts.
Traditions are important. Where are we without our history? Eh?
To call him cruel would be an insult to the word. He was the kind of villain we honestly weren't even prepared for. But, in his defense, he did warn us.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
But what do you think? Which character do you think deserves the title of most evil Game of Thrones character? And for that matter, who do you think will be the most evil character in the final season? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But most importantly, stay wicked.